Mayuresh, Joshi and SP Tulsian also with us. Mr. Tulsian, good afternoon. Any initial thoughts on JSW Energy? These numbers on face of it don't look good.
That's right, Anuj. On face of it, the numbers doesn't look good. But I think that probably this may be one-off and we will be seeing the good improvement in the performance of the company as such. And because if you take the call on the power generation companies, they have started doing well. So these are just the historical data which I may not be able to, but still one has to analyze and understand. But they are disappointing as of now.
Okay, yes, disappointing on JSW Energy. We have Mayuresh Joshi who also joins into the conversation. Mayuresh, the other big stock of the day has been RBL Bank, 5% higher post its numbers. Do you recommend buying even at these levels of 386?
Afternoon, Sonia. Yes, I think the performance was quite exemplary in terms of how the advances book has grown. But largely, again, one must really understand that it's come off a very low base. So at the end of FY16, the total advance book stood somewhere around 21,300 odd crores. The deposit book was somewhere around 24,300 odd crores. And they've been growing this book at 50% odd on a compounded basis over the past few years. Having said that, the kind of accomplishment in terms of maintaining an asset quality as well as the NIMs, and again credit costs not expected to be too elevated, pinpoints that the bank is doing well and in the right direction when it comes to how the advance growth has been panning out. When it comes to valuations, again, I think post the IPO and the listing price, it was around 2.1 times price to adjusted book. It's way ahead of that at this point of time. And though capital adequacy at almost 12.9 odd percent will fuel balance sheet expansion the way the management is perceiving in excess of 30-35 odd percent, my own sense is that valuations appear a little bit expensive at this point of time. So I think very difficult to comprehend a buy at these levels, but investors holding on should definitely hold on to the bank because in the next 4 quarters, the loan growth will be better than industry, and because of the base that they're working on with, again, I think the asset quality pressure should not be that evident, specifically for RBL Bank vis-a-vis the entire system. As working capital constraints for metal mining start easing off, credit growth picks up, again, capital adequacy will hold the bank in good stead. So it's a clear hold from my side for existing long-term investors.
Okay, well, must say the space which is seeing a lot of buying now is all your metals and commodities in general. Let's pull out 2 intraday charts. Hindalco, which is almost now at a new 52-week high, and Cain. Pull out the intraday chart of Cain, and that stock is also having a bit of a surge right now. That's Hindalco up 5%. And pull out Cain as well. That stock has also moved to high point of the day. Ashwini, so commodities continue to have that surge. Is it too late to enter this run now, or can one enter here as well? Of course, from positional trade and from slightly longer term point of view.
Well, this is not great value, but that is where the momentum is. If you have to be long in this market, I think metals, commodities, that is the place where you want to be long. So Vedanta, Cain, both should cross 300 at some point. Similarly, JSW Steel, you could look at 235, 240. So across the board, I think commodities can be bought. And even oil marketing is looking fairly strong. So metals and oil marketing could be the stocks for this year.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll take a short break. Our closing bell money control question of the day is on the Bombay Stock Exchange. It's IPO open today. Would you subscribe to it? Log on to moneycontrol.com and post your responses there. We will read out some of the most interesting ones post 3:30. Hi, welcome back to the show. Well, for now, we have the markets doing okay, pretty well actually, 83.80. So the Nifty has picked up. The stock that's really making its presence felt today is Hindalco. In fact, now it's at the high point of trade, and it's been a one-way move on the upside for Hindalco. So that stock looking pretty good. In fact, Bharti Airtel, ahead of its numbers tomorrow, has also come off from the day's low. So that stock too is seeing some action. Sandeep Wagle joins in to give us his views on individual stocks. Sandeep, what are you looking to buy or sell now?
Afternoon, Sonia. I would go with a buy in a Hindalco, stop loss of 175, target of 186. A sell in a Voltas, stop loss 342, target 327.
Okay, Sandeep, thanks a lot for those trading ideas. Well, it's really steel and other metals which are surging now. So Bhushan Steel is now up 11%. JSW Steel has moved to high point of the day. Tata Steel has moved to high point of the day. So some of these stocks have done well, and a couple of other stocks as well. Adani Power, after yesterday's excuse me, big fall, is recovering, and Indiabulls Real Estate is also trading at high point of the day. Let's get some market opinion then. Earlier in the morning, of course, we spoke to Arvind Sanger, managing partner of Geosphere Capital Management, who believes that emerging markets can be range bound till further clarity emerges from the US.
Trade part of it and the protectionist part of it. And that part could be quite disruptive and quite negative, not just for emerging markets, but for the US and for global growth. After the rhetoric is done, how aggressive is Trump going to be? Because that obviously would be negative for North American trade, but that would be an early indicator of how he views trade as an instrument of aggression. In terms of his quote-unquote America First approach. So I think that all of that keeps, in my opinion, emerging markets and markets in general somewhat range-bound without anybody wanting to get too far ahead of themselves till they get a better idea. Let's be clear, if you get past President Trump and you look at what's going on in Brexit in Europe, and you look at some of the election rhetoric coming out of a number of countries that have elections this year, I think the era of growth in global free trade in an unfettered way is unfortunately behind us. So what we are going to see is much more restricted global trade with a lot of impediments to it. Britain is good, talking about a hard Brexit. There'll be some negative consequences. U.S. is talking about under Trump actions. So if you're an emerging market country which is highly trade dependent, you're clearly facing a world where you'll see meaningful slowdown.
Okay, that's the word coming in from Arvind Sanger, a bit cautious because of the comments that Donald Trump made. But let's get back to our own markets now because we have a lot of stocks moving around. Mr. Dulcian, wanted to ask you your view on United Spirits after the numbers, as well as the fact that, Diageo will be coming out with its own earnings on the 26th, and there is expectation that something about the open offer could be mentioned. Would you be bullish on this stock now?
So now numbers are definitely looking better because actually I would say that probably the stagnation which we have seen in the financial performance seem to be breaking, maybe because of the better product management with the premium brands coming in. But if you really take a call on the valuations, still I'm not convinced because this I have mentioned a while back earlier also that the preferential issue to be made by the Diageo is not seen to be so convincing, because if you go by the shareholding pattern with FIIs or maybe the foreign investors holding closer to about 24%, with 56-57% with the Diageo and about 5-6% or 7% with Vijay Mallya and USL Benefit Trust, where is the float which they will all be looking for? Because I don't know whether the FIIs will really be tendering the shares, because in the earlier buyback, also two buybacks which have happened, FIIs did not reduce the stake to a great extent. So I don't know whether the prices will be so attractive that can re-rate the stock or allow it to move up, because stock has already risen by about 300-400 rupees in this last couple of weeks on the expectation of this Diageo increasing their stake. So I won't be taking a call, because fundamentals of the company purely on the breweries front, with the highway ban, sale of liquor on the highways, and few states going quite aggressive on the liquor ban, are all not seen quite positive for the stock going forward.
Okay, that's on United Spirits, of course. The stock looking quite strong. Mr. Sen, Aksharkem, I think it's just announced to the board that they will be investing some money in expansion. I remember this is one of your favorite stocks. Any thoughts on this at current levels?
See, Anuj, they have said that they will be investing 175 crore maybe in the next 12 to 18 months. And because they have not said specifically, they have just said dye intermediates. Because if you see the vinyl sulfone market, that has been quite steady. And if you see the Aksharkem numbers, the Q2 and Q3 are identical, exactly the same, whether you take in terms of top line, whether you take in terms of operating profit, PAT, or maybe EPS of closer to about 24-25 rupees for each quarter. So yes, the things are, because situation has not improved on the Chinese front, and the kind of exports, which is continuing with the no price increase has not been seen. But even if they have been able to maintain the kind of profitability and vinyl cell phone, there are 4 players which I've said, if you all recall the last 30th March, when the ban has, when the exports has started. Since then, these all stocks, 4 stocks have risen by about 500% to 900%. That is Akshar Chem, Bagheria Industries, Bodil Chemical and Kiri Industries. But Akshar Chem and Bagheria Industries, seems to be the best amongst the lot, because both the stocks, Bodil and Kiri Industries, they have some pollution issues in respect to their couple of plants, So I won't be taking a too positive call on them. But yes, overall the things are looking stagnant. And maybe one can expect the Q3 numbers of other 3 companies also to be on the similar lines what we have seen from the Akshar Chem, which are, the numbers are, really good, because on a YOY comparison you will call it as a blast, but I will be taking on a sequential basis, and where I have said that it is exactly same, not even a single percentage of increase on the top line or bottom line has been seen, but still they are very good. So maybe 9 months EPS of 61 rupees having posted by Akshar Chem, one can expect an EPS of closer to about 80-85 rupees. So allocating 150 to 175 crore for capex make this justified move, considering the profitability.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, stay on. We'll just come back and discuss more stocks with you. But for now, it's time for our Monday special Midcap Mania with Nigel D'Souza as always. So let's go straight to him. Nigel, what is on your radar today?
Well, Sonia, the company that we're going to be talking about is Universal Cables. Remember, it's an MP Birla Group company, and in fact, now it's being run by Mr. Lodha as well. If you take a look at it, what does the company do? They're into EHV, that's extra high voltage cables segment, and in fact, it's been a turnaround of sorts, and that's why the company did catch my eye. Now, if you just take a look at what they've been doing in the last few years, they had numerous years of loss making, and then in last year they made a profit of close to around 20 crores approximately. So that was the reason why in fact the company did come on my radar. And if you take a look at what they've done at the halfway mark, they've done what they did in the entire of last year. So they did around 19 crores in the last year. Now at the halfway mark, they've done 19 crores. Remember, since it was loss making, so they have some kind of tax write back that they're seeing owing to all those accumulated losses. First half of the year as well has been good. We have a growth on the top line. Margins have expanded. Finance cost is lower. And as I told you, the profitability number at around 19 crores, that's backed up by close to around 6 crores of tax write back owing to the losses that we've been seeing over the last few years. Then moving on, then if you just take a look at the company, and in fact if you take a look at what they have been doing, the debt has fallen down. That's the net debt has fallen down from around 340 crores to around 280 crores. That's of September 2016. So debt reduction is something that the company has been focusing on as well, but it's a rather large debt of around 300 crores or thereabouts, 280 crores. Their holdings in Vindhya Telelinks is at around 29%. That equates to 225 crores, and they have holdings even in Birla Corp. Put that together, they have holdings in companies worth around 246 crores. This is the listed company holdings that I'm talking about. Now, if you just take a look at it, if you take a holding company discount of around 50%, the market cap is 320 crores. Holding company discount, taking that into consideration, it comes at around 120 crores. The core market cap, if you're considering that 50% holding company discount, then in fact it will be at around 200 crores. At the half year mark, they've done around 18 crores. The seasonal factor plays out for these cables companies. So the second half of the year is normally better. For the full year, assuming that they do around 30 crores, then in fact the company is trading at roughly around 6.5 to around 7 times. So it's still not very expensive. Keep in mind, the stock has had a big run in this year itself. Now, if you take a look at the promoter holding, it's at around 62% stake, but also they are subscribed to all their rights issues. So in the last year, that's as of September 2015, owing to subscription of the rights issues, it's gone up by close to around 10%. That's the holding in the company as well. So that's really about the promoter holding and how the shareholding does stack up. So rather interesting company. We've been seeing that demand has been coming in for these extra high voltage cables, and that's why it did come on my radar. Now the power generation capacity, this is from the audit report, that's up by 50%, but transmission, that is up by, it's been lagging. So that's one of the positives, one of the opportunities they see going ahead. They've also said that the Uday scheme will help in turnaround of discoms. If they turn around and SEBs turn around, we'll see demand coming back for these extra high voltage cables. Two key players, one is KEI, and the leader in the pack is Universal Cables as well. So these are interesting statements that are coming out of the audit report. A rather interesting company. And if you take a look at what are the risks, then material cost has been going up. We've been talking about copper costs going up. that will be one of the raw materials. We have competition as well in this segment, because there are two big players, and in fact at some point of time we had some imports as well that were coming in, so that could be another risk. And in fact there's competition in this space as well. Interesting company, it's run up a goodish bit, but just the turnaround story is something that caught my eye. Back to you all.
Okay, Nigel, thanks a lot for that. Standard disclaimer, this is not a stock recommendation, just some important internals that Nigel looked at. Well, the market is picking up now. In fact, the bank Nifty is almost in the green, and the Nifty is approaching the 83-85 mark, almost approaching the morning high as well. So quite interesting. Ashwini, your thoughts on the Nifty and the bank Nifty? Do you see more of this ranged move even in the next couple of days trade?
See, basically we are going through a correction in the uptrend. So, could be not a great price fall, but, a few days in this 8300, 8400 band. Broadly, I don't expect the market to cross 8450 before the budget. So, downside is probably 8300, 8330. Upside is about 8450. If you get closer to those boundaries, only then it's worthwhile trading.
Okay, well, the sector for now definitely is the metal space. So Nalco is suddenly spiking up almost 4.5%. And look at Hindalco, it's now up almost 5%, 1.5% just in the last 1 hour, and 5.5% higher now for Hindalco. So pretty impressive there, the move.
Yeah, Sonia, the call for metals is very simple. When they get into this kind of upcycle, you got to identify maybe a couple of weekdays and then enter and then have a bit of a stop loss.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't trigger, then you are in for a trade of your life, because after that, you just got to keep inching that up, and that's what's happening. And sometimes we make the mistake of exiting too early in some of these commodities, both on the way up and on the way down. And I think what they're seeing right now is really multi-month kind of run. And today, this morning as well, as Manisha was updating us, most of the metals were up about close to 4 to 5%. And let's just pull out the dollar index as well, because that also has quite a bit of impact on the way these commodities move. That's the Nifty metal, by the way, 2.5% higher on that, 3008, 100.47 on the dollar. Ashwini, you'll stay put with your metal stocks, the likes of Hindalco, JSW Steel?
See, definitely on days like today, you can see where the outperformance is happening. So, they are hitting fresh intermediate highs while the market is correcting. So, definitely there is more upside here.
Okay, well, we'll take a quick break on that note, but on a quick programming note, in the run-up to the 2017 budget, CNBC TV 18 brings you a special show, Budget Bets, a show that will help you make money this budget. CNBC TV 18's Market Walas will tell us what stocks to bet on as we head into the budget. SP Tulsian, Prakash Diwan, Dipan Mehta and Daljit Kohli will give us their budget plays. You can come and watch us live at the Bombay Stock Exchange today at 5 p.m. You can RSVP details on your screen.
Okay, a couple of further stocks are now inching up. Pull out the intraday chart of 3 stocks, Hero MotoCorp, Hindustan Unilever and SAIL. Of course, the metal run continues, but HUL in particular has now moved up a bit ahead of its numbers. And Hero MotoCorp is the other one which has moved to the high point of the day. That's SAIL. Again, phenomenal move, that stock. A lot of NBFC is surging actually. Bajaj Finance is at day's high. I think DHFL is at day's high. Let's pull out both these stocks as well. And they have also moved to the high points, that's Bajaj Finance and DHFL. BTSC time, buy today, sell tomorrow. Ashwini and Mitesh still with us. Ashwini, you go first, your trades, and also if you want to comment on any of the NBFCs which are looking good.
See, Bajaj Finance is now at about 925, 930. I think, again, that this Bajaj Finance hasn't corrected in Friday's correction. and overall is showing extraordinary strength. I think 990, 1000 should be possible on Bajaj Finance. Also, this DHFL, again, very shallow corrections. So NBFC is another space that you could move into. Also, PSUs, BEML is breaking out as we speak. So PSUs, metals, NBFCs is the place where you look at. Right now, Vardhaman Textile, that's a buy with a stop of 1160, target of 1240. Hind Petroleum, that's a buy with a stop of 510, target of 535. And JSW Energy is a sell with a stop of 62, target of 54.
Okay, well, Mitesh, what are you telling our viewers to buy or sell now?
So Grasim is the BTST, keep a stop at 874, just below 875, and look for 896 as the target for tomorrow. And Cummins as well, buy with the stop below 825 and look for possibly 850 as the target for tomorrow.
Okay, well, a lot of other stocks as well. Ashwini spoke about BML. Let's just pull out the intraday chart of that, and that has actually moved to the high point of the day. Ultratech Cement as well has moved to the high point, so that stock as well looking up. Ultratech also crossing its 200-day moving average. Mr. Hussain, looking at Ultratech's numbers, any thoughts on whether this rally in cement stocks will continue?
See, Anuj, if you see the Q3 numbers and if you correlate this with the demonetization, and if you can expect these kind of results from Ultratech for Q3, I think Q4 and Q1 will just be beyond imagination. And going forward, the kind of focus, which is now set on the infrastructure, and if you see the road construction, we have been very apprehensive that the cement consumption will go down in the housing sector, which constitutes about 22 to 23% of the total cement consumption. But the kind of infra growth which we have been seeing, where the cement is getting consumed, and the next 6 months, the kind of consumption growth to be seen in this construction and infrastructure sector. And if you just see the just 2% quantity degrowth in Q3, in spite of so much fear, the dealers having said that things are not looking good and all sort of things, plus the cost control, maybe the waste energy utilization and the economical or the cost control having carried out by the company on logistic costs and the energy, power and fuel costs are really phenomenal. So I have been in fact keeping the positive view on the cement stocks prior to these results as well, but my view gets reinforced, and I am keeping a highly positive view on the cement sector or the cement stocks going ahead.
Okay, well, for now, let's talk about some other stocks. There are important earnings that we will be getting tomorrow as well. Some of these non-banking financial companies, Bharat Financial Inclusion, will be in focus as it announces its earnings tomorrow. Abhishek joins in to give us the key expectations this time. Abhishek?
Analysts on the street are actually worried about the collection efficiency, as 5% drop in monthly run rate could lead to 0.7% of the portfolio. Disbursement, as we saw with Ujjivan, declined by 24% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. So we have to worry about disbursement growth. Q2 disbursement was a little over 4,000 crore. Asset quality movement will be seen on account of the decline in collection efficiency. Street expects 0.15 to 0.2% of gross NPA for the current quarter. Our polls suggest an NII growth of close to 45%, while net profit to grow by 40% on a YOY basis. However, if you look on a quarter-on-quarter basis, our polls suggest an NII growth of just 0.9%, while profit will decline by 23.5%. Two things to monitor. They have a deferred tax asset of close to 250 to 260 crores, which can be used in to push up the profits, and also that RBI's dispensation on asset quality recognition, whether they use it or not, needs to be seen. Back to you.
Okay, Abhishek, thanks a lot for that. Well, let's talk about some more buzzing stocks. Varinder is here with that list. Varinder?
Well, some new names like DHP India, Kathwa Udyog, Tirupati Surgeon and Atisha, which are moving today. Some cashless beneficiaries after good results coming in from D-Link. So D-Link, SmartLink and ABM Knowledge, where they're moving on good volumes. Some other small cap gainers, look at Bharat Rasayan, that's up 20% good volumes today. Bhagyanagar India, Oriental Hotel, good set of numbers coming over there. HOV Services, Sharp India, ABG Infra Logistics, Kesar Terminals, Bhushan Steel, good set of numbers, has gained nearly 50% in the last 1 or 2 months. Rama Phosphates, Pellet Technologies, Resenting Engineering, where Ashish Chuk bought stake from the open market. Panacea Bio, Prime Property Development, Man Aluminium, Welspun Syntex, Shakti Pumps, Finotex Chemicals, Genesis International Corporation, Machino Plastic, Associated Alcohol and International Travel House. In the mid-cap gainers, UFO Movies and Shemaru, they stand out in terms of good volumes today. Excel Industries, Shree Infra, Advanced Enzymes up 5%. BEML, of course, has been surging since morning, and Deepak Fertilizers. Among losers, look at Atlas Cycle moving down circuit now after huge run-up. HOCL, Indothai, Naveen Fluorine, Amara Raja, Divi's and Etco Pharma.
Okay, Varendra, thanks a lot for that. Mr. Sultan, I wanted your thoughts on BEML, because if the big bet the market is taking is on that strategic stake sale now, because the government has 54%. Do you get a sense that this could be the next big one from the government stable, and the investors can make money here?
See, Anuj, that seems a very bold move by the government. In fact, if you see that they have said that 26% they are looking to divest in favor of a strategic investor out of their 54%. They have been very categorical that there won't be any preferential issue and all sort of things. So if government is prepared to reduce their stake to 28% with 26% to be given by the government out of their quota to a strategic investor, it will be termed as a joint venture or joint venture company, and we have seen the fortunes of few joint venture companies having changed substantially. The case in point is Hindustan Zinc, which has also happened during the earlier days of UPA. I'm not saying that the same kind of things can happen, but if you say to take the case of other companies also like Tata Communication, where the things have happened in the similar way, where government has retained 26% and then they have been now considering to exit the remaining the residual stake in Hindustan Zinc for as high as 32,000 crore, when the original 48% stake has been exited at 3,000 crore. So this is a very thought out strategy of the government, and I think this will go a long way. Actually, maybe for last 1 week or couple of weeks we have just seen the profit booking, because stock has run up so much, and then the traders and the weak hands have seen having exited. But if you want to keep a fundamental view on the stock, I think this news is extremely positive.
Okay, well, the stock that's really surging now is Z Entertainment. Remember, that company comes out with its earnings tomorrow, and ahead of that, that stock is seeing some buying interest. This time around, it's expected to be a moderately, good set of numbers by Z Entertainment, but there is margin expansion that the street is looking at, so maybe some buying ahead of the numbers there. We'll take a short break on that note, but as we do that, here are some stock calls coming in from Dipen Sheth, the head institutional research at HDFC Securities. We'll come back.
I think the big crib on IT is not that it's going through a disruptive change where we fear they may not be able to keep up, but the fact that they now need to do that capital allocation which has been pending for so many years. Many of these guys are sitting on anywhere between 10 and 20% of market cap in terms of the cash they're carrying on their balance sheet. So either they do a buyback, they return this money, or they put it to use on the streets of San Francisco and Boston, as it were. And if you can't do that, then I think investors are going to punish you. That said, these businesses are still 30% core ROIC businesses, and if they're not growing for 1 or 2 years, and if there is promise they can grow later, maybe this is a good time to look at them. This time around, the PSU refiners are in much better shape, courtesy the lower crude prices and the healing of balance sheet happened. Many of them are now mid double-digit ROCE companies, and much under leveraged compared to what they used to be 2 or 3 years ago. So the capability that they have to raise money on their balance sheets and do this capex is much higher than what you would have imagined 2 or 3 or 5 years ago. And Engineers India, by the way, is a natural beneficiary as it gets design service contracts for all this capex virtually on an assured basis without even a public tendering process.
Hi, welcome back to the show. Well, we are counting down to the earnings from Asian Paints as well as from HUL, so keep an eye out on that. Asian Paints, it's expected to be a weak set this time around, and remember, that's one stock that has not seen any major recovery post demonetization. In fact, the stock is still down almost 15% since the demonetization day. So let's see what gets reported this time. We'll go to our guest for that, but before that, let's also get an insight into the dealing room chatter this afternoon. Nimesh Shah is here with some trader talk. Nimesh.
Hi Sonia. So, volatile day of trade with flows mixed at institutional desk. Even in Friday, when we saw a sharp correction, I had said that this was not backed by institutional buying. That seems to be the case today as well. So there is lack of interest from the larger institutions, whether it's in the cash market or in the futures market. The sectors you spoke about, the consumption stocks, they're expected to do better than what the street is expecting. So the likes of Lever, Asian Paints, they all seems to be, at least some bit of buying is there at some desk, is what I understand from institutional sources. The one sector which stands out for a big amount of buying is the metals pack. Periodically, we keep seeing some bit of domestic buying coming in the metal names, the likes of Hindalco and Alco, all buzzing in trade today. But broadly, the sense is we're going to see a range-bound day of trade for the next couple of days before the expiry. But largely, from an earnings point of view, the feedback that I got is some bit of expectation is building up of a better than expected better than expected results in the likes of Lever and Asian Paints.
Okay, Nimesh, thanks a lot for that. We won't have to wait too long for that, of course. But for now, the market is now back to the high point of the day, at least on the Nifty it is. And if you look at some of the stocks which have propelled the market to that, of course, Sonia spoke about Z Entertainment. That really is the top index gainer in the last hour of trade. But apart from that, stocks that have looked strong through the day and getting some more traction now. Hindalco has been strong. GAIL looking good, and now the Tata Motors and the DVR participating in the rally. Just pull out the intraday chart of Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR. HDFC as well. Intraday, if you pull out HDFC, that stock also looking quite interesting. Neeraj Diwan is also with us. Neeraj, hi, good afternoon. First, wanted your thoughts on the companies which will come out with numbers, Asian Paints and Hindustan Unilever. Any stock that you would want to buy now?
Yeah, good afternoon, Anuj. I think among the two, I think the expectation as far as the results are concerned are muted this time, both as far as Asian Paints or Lever is concerned. I think Asian Paints is one which is still, had corrected and still not really recovered too much, like Sonia also just mentioned. I think Asian Paints would be one where I think the results are of course important to watch. But even if one has to see over medium to long term, I think 15% below the recent highs, I think this should be a stock which one should look at buying even now. And I think the stock has been trading at a premium valuation, and I think the premium will continue with the market leadership position that they are into. As far as Lever is concerned, though I think the expectations are over a volume degrowth, and there can be a degrowth there quarter on quarter. But I think levers on valuation front, I'm not that comfortable. I'll not really look at levers to buy, but Asian Paint would be the top pick among the two.
Okay. Well, for now, the stock that's really surging is HCL Tech ahead of its numbers. So that, remember, HCL Tech has been an outperformer from the entire IT pack. So there is hope this time around as well. And the numbers are, it's expected to be muted once again, but at least better than some of its peers. So dollar revenue growth of 1.5%. The margins will be stable. So HCL Tech rising there ahead of its numbers.
Yeah, and HCL Tech is one stock, Sonia, which is actually within 3% of a 52-week high.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire IT pack, most stocks, at least the large ones, are actually moving closer towards the 52-week lows. And there's one stock where consistently you've seen delivery-based buying in the IT pack, it's HCL Tech. So, clearly it's been one of the strongest stocks, and I think the market recognizes that, and that's why it's going into the numbers also pretty strong on HCL Tech.
Oh yes, and even if you look at the past, the growth rates of HCL Tech have been far superior to its peers. I mean, if you just take a track record of the last 2 to 3 quarters. So I think this time around as well, the street is expecting a better performance perhaps. By the way, the Nifty is inching higher now and has once again conquered 8400. So it's turning out to be a very good day for the bulls, led by a lot of key stocks like Yes Bank, HDFC, ITC, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and some of the metal names as well, like Hindalco. Neeraj, hi, afternoon. What are your thoughts on HCL Tech? I know the entire IT space is under a cloud, but HCL Tech has been an outperformer in that space. Would you back it or would you be cautious?
Yeah, good afternoon. I think the whole IT space, definitely there is some concern for the short to medium term. But HCL Tech, like we saw last quarter also, people were feeling that there'll be some dilution because of the acquisition they had made. But that was not the case, and their margins were better. And I think that inorganic growth is continuing there, with Geometric also merging into HCL Tech. I think HCL Tech growth inorganically is good for the company, and the margin will also improve based on that. So I think one needs to hold on to HCL Tech, though they can be short to medium term, volatility in the stock. But over a long term, this stock is a good stock to hold on to.
Okay, Ashwini, your thoughts on the fact that Nifty is again approaching 8,400? Do you get a sense that what we had on Friday was a one-off, or you can't conclude from today's trade?
See, what you can conclude is that this is not a sharp or a long correction, and broadly the 20 DMA, 50 DMA, both of which are turning on the upside, should hold this market, and at some point we'll get out of 8450, 8460. But to say that correction is over and now from tomorrow itself we should start breaking out, that's probably a little early to say. But the market has behaved extremely well today, and if it weren't for ICICI Bank, etc., will probably be closer to 8450. Overall, on dips, you should continue to buy, and it has reacted fairly well from 83.30.
Okay, the other space I wanted to check with you, Ashwini, was the oil marketing companies. Some of them, like HPCL, have been surging higher today and hit a new 52-week high. Any thoughts on how to approach them? Any fresh trades here?
See, all of these stocks are not really correcting sharply when the market goes down. They hardly move sideways and resume their rallies. So, these are stocks that you need to buy into, and probably another 10% on all of these oil marketing companies does not seem unlikely.
Okay, Mayuresh, your thoughts on the Bank Nifty and whether you would want to take any trade? We have a 3-day expiry week, of course, this time.
Yeah, in fact, I'm not taking trade on the indices yet. I think maybe the Nifty, I would be more comfortable, buying around the 8350 mark. Bank Nifty, I'm not very sure. But amongst the banking names, I think HDFC is something which I've been liking a lot. Big base building happening around the 1220 to about 1260 mark. I think eventually the stock should start breaking on the upside, and once we clear 1270, I think we could look at targets of around 1340, 1350 over there.
Okay, Mayuresh, we are just 5 minutes away from the market closing. If you had to pick one stock to buy at this point, post numbers, or that has a good potential here on, which stock would you pick up from the mid-cap space?
So largely again, Sonia, I think if you look at a stock called Philips Carbon Black, the company has been doing reasonably better, and again going forward, if you look at the kind of demand that one expects specifically from the replacement market, the MNCV sales expected to recover sooner along with the PV sales. So in my opinion, again, I think there should be a reasonable amount of volume growth going forward for this company. Secondly, I think if you're looking at the kind of debt that it has on its books over the next 2 years, as volumes improve and as realizations start improving, you will see gradual reduction of debt coming on its balance sheet. And third, and the most important aspect probably, is that the kind of tax benefits that they'll probably get, which can be far better in terms of tax rates over the next 2 years, which will improve profitability of the company going ahead as well. So from an earnings perspective over the next 15 to 18 months, I think this is one stock that I'll prefer on declines.
Okay, do a GM Financials numbers, and I tell you something, that the numbers look quite okay. The net profit is 118 versus 117 crore. That's after adjusting for the minority interest. Before adjusting for minority interest, the net profit is 163 crore versus 117 crore. Total income looks actually quite strong for GM Financial. 593 crore is the income versus 426 crore is what you had same quarter last year. Mr. Hussain, is this a stock that you track? Of course, you won't have too many details of the numbers, but fundamentally, do you track this stock?
Yes, Anuj, in fact, the stock looks good, because if you really see the broking come NBFC space like India, IIFL Holding, Edelweiss, JM Financial, even that, this stock has started participating in the rally. So considering the results, as it seems, I don't think that results are going to be seen disappointing, and will be seen, will get liked by the market, and the stock looks good at the current price.
Okay, surging now, JM Financial up more than 3% but we just have 3 minutes to go before the day comes to an end. So let's get some final calls in then. Neeraj, you spoke to us about a couple of heavyweight names, the likes of Asian Paints, etc. But post numbers, anything that you've liked from the large caps, Reliance, Infi, so many large caps have come out with numbers already. Anything that you liked for the long term?
I think among the numbers that we track, among that Ujjivan Financial, which is not a large cap, it's a mid cap, but that is one company that we like. Numbers were okay. So people were expecting a lot of disappointment because of demonetization, but that didn't come through. There was just a slight dip because of that. I think that company has a very healthy ROA, and we feel that once it's converting into banks, it should be a good growth story for the next 3-4 years, and like it's been growing very well over the last 2-3 years also. So that is one company which is among the buy. And among the housing finance space, there have not been too many disappointments. In fact, the results have been pretty good. Though we have some valuation concern in some companies there, but Indiabulls Housing Finance is one where even the valuation wise it is attractive. So that from the results which are already declared looks good to buy even at the current prices.
Okay, 2 minutes left for markets to close, and I'll tell you something, it's been a good day for the bulls because the market, yes, had an intraday dip, but that dip was bought. In fact, if you see the intraday chart of the Nifty, today could easily have been a day where the market had a first hour rally and after that, that got petered off. But no, from the low point, there was quite a bit of rally and a lot of big sectors participated in trade. Even the bank Nifty actually rallied late. It's only ICICI and Axis which really prevented the bank Nifty from breaking out. Otherwise, as you can see, ICICI down 2%, even Axis Bank was down about 1.5%, and these two stocks will see again second day running heavy delivery based selling. In spite of this, the market actually moved on. In terms of stocks that moved, Tata Motors was up 2%, the DVR was up 2%. Stock of the day, of course, was Hindalco. That stock is now within 1.5% of 52-week high, so 6% higher than that. Z Entertainment ahead of numbers was strong. HCL Tech ahead of numbers was strong. Idea Cellular looked good. HDFC moved in late trade up 2%. Ultratech Cement reacted well to its earnings. ITC, a stock that we pointed out in the morning as well, is actually now within 2% of 52-week high. Hero MotoCorp, SBI, these were some other stocks which saw some rally. On the way down, as I said, it's ICICI and Axis, both of them again dragging the market. Again, expect in ICICI there were some block deals as well, so you will expect large delivery volumes on that. And Larsen and Toubro was the other stock which dragged market, along with Reliance, which is now below its 200-day moving average. What about mid-cap, Sunny?
Well, it was a good day for the mid-cap index. No two ways about that. The index itself was up 0.5%. The market breadth was strong. Some result reactions, the likes of United Spirits, RBL Bank, all did very well. Oil marketing companies, HPCL, BPCL were all up in the green as well. And a lot of these metal names like Nalco, etc., were up and about this afternoon. So a lot of traction seen there in that space. BEML and names like Escorts have also rallied quite a bit. On the downside though, you did have some of these names like Divi's Laboratories that continues to hit new 52-week lows. In fact, it has, Amara Raja for company, that stock was down almost about 4% post a weak set of numbers that the company posted yesterday. Big margin contraction seen over there. So all in all, good day. Yes, there were a few losers purely because of the kind of earnings that they reported, but otherwise it was a good day of trade. And tomorrow we have a long list of companies that are coming out with their numbers, so it's going to be a very heavy day of earnings. HDFC Bank, Bharti, Biocon, HCL Tech, Z Entertainment all come out with their numbers tomorrow, and you have a whole host of other companies as well reporting numbers from the broader markets. Mr. Tulsian, from the broader markets, very interesting numbers tomorrow. There's Bharat Financial, there's Crompton Consumer, there is Walk Hard, a stock that you track closely. Anything from the mid-cap list that you will be looking forward to in terms of good numbers this time?
Sonia, 4 or 5 numbers which comes to my mind. One is the Nilkamal, because if you see the kind of run up, again the consumer space demonetization will directly get reflected into the plastic furniture business. So that is one. M&M Finance, again provisions, what provisions they make on the lines of Ujjivan Financials has to be seen. Then I'll be keeping an eye on the Bharat Bijli, because the transformer space are doing very well, and Bharat Bijli is likely to perform better because we have seen a good run up in all the transformer stock makers. So that looks very good. Again, the odd stocks, since you have asked me the not so known stocks, and Gandhi Special Tube, again an auto ancillary company, that will also be seen quite good. And amongst the larger one, I'll be keeping an eye on the TVS Motor, apart from the Vocard. Obviously, you have the larger numbers like Biocon, Bharat Financial, Bharti Airtel, HCL Tech, but I'll be keeping an eye on the TVS Motor because what kind of performance we see from them.
Okay, well, gentlemen, we'll wind up on that note. Thanks so much for joining us. But we're not done with the news flow just yet. Anytime now, you can be hit with numbers from Asian Paints as well as from HUL. So we will keep our eye out on that. Our closing bell money control question of the day is on the iconic Bombay Stock Exchange IPO that opens today. Would you subscribe to it? 68% respondents say yes.